I think we're live. Yeah, we are live.
Oh yeah, we're live.
I think we're live.
Be good.
All right. So, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to a very experimental episode of The Gaming Perspective. I'm going to, if you guys are in the chat, give us some audio feedback. I learned OBS in the 32 minutes before the podcast. So if this if it sounds a little shaky and everything else, please give us feedback so I can kind of adjust things as we go. We don't have a template yet. It's just a blank stagnant image. I'm sorry. So, yeah, this is kind of thrown together last minute, and I had planned on working on this since like Monday, since Monday, and then had to be out of the house for renovations and whatnot, and didn't have internet access. So I got home Wednesday and was like, I'm gonna learn OBS in half an hour.
You did it.
I did it somewhat successfully.
There you go.
So, we will kick this off with a proper intro now, and now that I think we've ironed out everything. Alright, so, we'll kick it off properly. Had to clear all that Death Stranding out of my throat. Welcome to the... wow, okay.
You didn't have a Death Stranding out, did you?
Yeah.
Nope.
Alright, welcome to the Gaming Perspective Podcast, the Game Awards special. We do this every year since this podcast has been around, and I have to admit, it's one of my favorite times of the year for one simple reason. This is the one time of the year where none of us agree on anything, and it's so beautiful. So, we're going to get right into it. I'm going to start with some introductions, starting with, of course, Sam. He'll give a little introduction of who he is.
Yeah, so I'm Samuel Talbert. I've been here for a while or so. Nick keeps on telling me as he drags me from podcast to podcast. I'm a writer for Mobile Nations, freelancer. I write at Windows Central, iMore, Android Central, cover all different gaming platforms. Come check us out, and thank you for being here. We have a good bit to get through.
We have a ton to talk about. It's really exciting. And, of course, my West Coast, Best Coast brother, Jared.
Yeah, I guess Best Coast, eh? I do love that. How's it going, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. I guess it's Jared or BraidVerseX on Twitter. That's where you can find me. Yeah, I'm really excited to dive into the Game Awards and get talking and see what all the hubbub is about in everybody's minds on this time of year. And yeah, it should be fun.
Well, I think we can all just basically agree that Sam's wrong. So we'll just take it from there.
Yeah.
No. This is you, Nick.
Oh, what? What?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, wait, can people hear me?
People can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, people can hear me? Okay. I wasn't sure. I was looking at chat for a second there. Alright. Also introducing, as he once called himself on an episode I was watching way back to check out our audio quality when we used to live stream, our diversity hire for the Gaming Perspective. Mr. Eric Jackson.
I thought you were talking about Sam.
Wow.
I'm not sure what diversity I'm supposed to fulfill, but okay.
What's going on, everyone? Happy to be here. Like I said, bear with me, a little under the weather. Now it is. It's Florida weather. It goes from 65 to 85 to 90, back to 65, and yeah. Just get fallout from that.
I know how you feel.
Yeah.
Awesome. I sound really echoey. Hold on. This is me having an old mic and yelling into it constantly, and me having to get a new mic and put it like 5 feet away from me now. I think this should be better. It's in the middle of my table now. Looks ridiculous. I really need to get a pop filter. So, we have a special guest. We haven't had a guest in a while, and since we're kicking off a bunch of new episodes, I thought who better to bring back than my good friend Alden, formerly of Digital Hoarders, and more recently Third Wheel Arcade, which unfortunately has been exodused since Google Hangouts decided to do what it's doing.
Hi guys. I don't remember how to podcast without talking about Boy Meets World. So if at some point I vote for Corey Matthews as Game of the Year, I'm sorry.
Okay. I will out of my way say this, and people can judge me as they will. You guys are still in my top download podcast. I still listen
Really?
to you guys. Yes. It was one of my favorite shows growing up. I actually rewatched it because of you guys.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah, it's been really fun. For those that don't know, I do Boy Meets Girl Meets Boy Meets World with my wife, Tanya. It's really fun. It's fun to do. We go back and we watch each episode every week and talk about it on the show for a lot longer than the episode actually is, but it's good.
That usually means it's a damn good conversation.
That's right.
Yeah.
Usually.
I don't think me and my wife could do a podcast. Actually, we could do a podcast, but be a Fallout podcast, and no one would want to listen to it.
It'd be fun.
I don't know. It depends on the subject.
Yeah, we just don't. We just pretend Fallout 76 doesn't exist, and we just keep moving from there.
Like, welcome to the Poutine Podcast.
So the gaming perspective, Nick. Like Fallout 76 doesn't exist.
I can't even say it because I still play it consistently. So, well. And if I don't endorse Fallout 76 in some way, Ivan will come and find me and break my knees.
I was just going to say his ears are probably burning right now.
Yep. So it's another week, and we actually had a console launch kinda this week, but it's not really a console, and it didn't really launch this week. So Google Stadia came out this week, and I'm just going to go around and kind of get everyone's thoughts on what we've seen this week, because there's been a lot of different things that have kind of happened with Stadia over the past week. I just kind of want everyone's general thoughts before we get into specifics. And the one I really want to pick the brain on right off the bat is Sam, because we've had some interesting DMs about Stadia.
Okay, so you want me to just dive in then?
Sure. Give her.
Fine. I'll dive in. Google, what are you smoking? I don't understand. They have somehow managed to mess up practically every single element of this thing's launch. The whole Reddit AMA, which my boss, Russell Hawley, has a great thread on Twitter. So if you haven't seen that epic thread, go check it out, where he broke down the entire Reddit AMA, like line by line. With what Google was saying and Google's employees were saying, from offering to hand deliver the Founders Edition kits to people who wouldn't otherwise get them on time, to people having their codes delayed, their kits delayed, the Chromecast Ultras used or overheating. You can't even use your own Chromecast Ultra. You actually have to use the one included in the Founders Edition. There's no way to sign up separately. Confusion over whether you keep your discounted games. I can report that was just not a mistranslation, but misreporting on Google's side of communications. It was a communication error. You do keep the games that you buy at discount. But still, they've got people in an uproar over everything, and I just don't understand who this is marketed for. I could really go on for a really, 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 really long time about this, but I'll confine it and consign it to saying that Microsoft with a beta technology is making an embarrassment of Google.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, xCloud is the infinitely better option, and it's just a beta tech with no release window. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well,
yeah, that sounds about right.
so
I don't know what people expect, man. It just looks bad.
Look, I wrote a piece about this last week. I said that this looked like it was going to be a disaster from the get-go. And you want to know some of the feedback I got? You're judging it too early. Why don't you turn this criticism to something like xCloud or PS Now? And I'm like, because they're not making me pay $130 to test try it. I can use remote play on my PlayStation as part of the console. I can't use xCloud because I'm Canadian, but soon.
Be able to soon.
Yeah,
Sometime
soon. But Google is literally charging people beta access. So we're going to bump over to our guest. So Alden, are you buying Stadia for your on-the-go gaming needs with your hectic work schedule?
So I was really intrigued by Stadia just because I do mobile game a lot. Mobile game? How do you say that? I don't know. I play my Switch. I got the Switch in like April, so I've been playing catch up with the Switch all year. I got to play all the games that I missed, but I love playing it. And just recently, I got into the xCloud beta. And oh my god, xCloud is unbelievable. It runs almost flawlessly. And I didn't have to pay $130 for it.
Oh, that's what's great about it.
Well...
Oh, man.
And from what I understand, Stadia still doesn't even run on phones. I mean, you have to play it through the Chromecast, right? Or a PC.
Only the Pixel phone. Only Google's Pixel phone. It is supposed to expand to other Android phones later, but there's no window on when that's going to happen.
And also, you can't game on your mobile data. You can only game on Wi-Fi currently.
Oh, really?
Wow.
So your Stadia on the go is essentially anywhere there's Wi-Fi or basically at home.
Which is crazy. Then what's the point?
Yeah, pretty much. What is the point?
I know that. So this Stadia launch is kind of reminding me a lot of what Anthem was, which was I was telling people, I don't know, there's no way they're going to screw it up this bad. There's no way it's going to be as bad as it looks. And it has come out, and I have been proven wrong. It is as bad as it looks.
Yeah.
I can slowly hear Jared dying in the background.
A little bit. I was like, I know where you're speaking from, man. It's right from the heart. Oh man, that was really disappointing. Playing I put 120 hours into Anthem, loved the hell out of it, and at the end game I was just like, yeah, what is this? There's nothing here. I'm done. I'm not going.
But Stadia, you would think
there's no point.
It's the same thing that I expected with Anthem and EA. They're going to pull it together. They know what they're doing, and they've seen it work out well. They've seen it work out poorly. They're obviously going to learn from other people's mistakes. And I expected Stadia the same way. Google's got the money and the resources. They're going to make sure they pull this together. Not yet. It's been a disaster of a start. I really do think they're running it kind of like they would run any sort of, and I said this I think in a group DM, but they're running it kind of like they would any other sort of tech, where they're trying to make it this like elusive, you can only get this right now, but hold tight and you can try it early. But that's not going to work out for the gamer crowd. That's not what the video game crowd wants. That might be what the I don't know, tech buyers want, but they don't care about the games.
Yeah, they kind of work with those like glasses that they were trying to push off on people at one point, you know, 'cause
right.
It's a whole different group. Yeah, gamers are not flying like that, especially when you have something like xCloud out there. You know, it's just not going to fly.
And with xCloud, you don't even really have to try. I typed my email in the invite box like 3 months ago, and just randomly got an email last week saying I was in. I forgot I even added myself to it.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty quick.
Yeah.
Eric.
I'm sorry. I was going to say.
Eric, I was going to go to you.
What's that?
Yeah, I was going to get you to go, so go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I brought up the whole Google Glass thing, or glasses, whatever it was. That was hot for like a minute, then they just kind of went away. So that was Google again.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know. I kind of look at it like this. Like, I don't really have any interest in Stadia anyway. But I'll always keep an ear to the ground if something does pop up that does interest me. But the whole thing just sounded weird, like from the beginning. If it was something that they were kind of like, hey, we're gonna try to launch this thing, and if you kind of did it like a first come first serve type thing, like, you know, you put your name in a pool, and you know we're gonna select a certain amount of founders, and we're gonna, you know, get you in and check this thing out, and maybe you have a contest where a few people win like the controller, and then you kind of do it that way. That's a whole different type of rollout. You know, that's the kind of thing that gets people engaged. But you're charging people. Some people don't get their order. It's, you know, you're buying the games all over again. It's not even. It's like, that's not how you get in. And it's just a mess. And it almost seems like Alden said, it's a very like Google tech way of handling it. And it's like they don't understand the audience that they're trying to talk to. And they're going to get a lesson really fast.
Look,
but at the same time, it's Google. So, you know, they throw things out and they go, hey, that didn't work out. On to the next.
Oh, well. Yes.
Yeah, I've said before, I'll say again, the one and only smart thing they've done that I will give them credit for is hiring Jade Raymond as the head of their production for internal studios and internal games. That's smart. Jade Raymond is fantastic. The problem is they needed to do that 2 or 3 years ago, at minimum. Now it's going to be 2 or 3 years before that team is creating games, and that's just one team. Where are the others going to be? Will Stadia even be around by then? I don't know. Hopefully it is. More competition, the better. I'm a capitalist at heart. But the fact is, they're not making a good impression, and they don't have a good track history. And there's even rumors now in the industry that certain developers are pulling out and won't be supporting it when they had planned to before. We'll see what happens. But it ain't looking good right now.
And that's kind of where I'm at with it, Sam. I'll kind of, like I said, I'm not looking to jump out there and get it, but hey, if they have to get out and learn some harsh lessons, like, I'll give them the chance to kind of figure it out and fix it. I mean, we kind of do that, you know, with almost any company like Apple, whether it's, you know, Android phones or whatever kind of tech, you know, they can kind of come out the gate stumbling. We've done it with PlayStation, we've done it with, you know, Microsoft.
Sure.
You can have your chance to stumble, but it's going to be on you to fix it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Like, they could even from now come back strong and be a serious contender, but they are going to have to bend over backwards and put in the legwork to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just going to happen just like that.
Yeah, it's almost like, who are you really talking to? Who are you really trying to get on board with? And you already have people who are defending it, like, no matter what, and that's fine. But hey, if you have to learn lessons the hard way, that's fine. Maybe it'll make them a better competitor.
Well, there's just a few things that are like just blatantly unacceptable to me about this. First of all, Google is one of the largest companies in the world, and you're having supply shortages that you can't fill pre-orders.
That's crazy.
That either tells me two things. Either your pre-order numbers are so ludicrously high that you can't keep up, or you're just not making enough of them. And it's the latter more than the earlier, because there's already being reports that Stadia's launch is a lot, quote unquote, softer than they thought it would be. And honestly, is anyone going to hire Phil Harrison to launch their next gen console? Honestly, anyone want to hire the man that
He's gotten to everyone except Nintendo. So Nintendo, if he comes knocking, don't answer.
Like, could you imagine imagine sitting down, you're sitting at a big interview for a big executive position. They're like, so you launched the PlayStation 3, which is get a second job console. You launched the Spyware Xbox One, and you launched Google Stadia. Wow.
What position are you going for?
The sad part about Stadia is like Google is like a multi-billion-dollar tech company, and you've got them being like, we'll deliver it to your house. The controller's gender neutral. And all this nonsense that does not answer the input lag issues, the unplayability. There's people that have like 100 megs down, and they're like, Stadia's unplayable. Or as even Jason Schreier pointed out, he's like, it's great that they have these multiplayer games, except the lobbies are empty because no one bought this.
Yeah, but you can get a teal controller that you or your wife can use.
Okay, I'm sorry, but look, okay. The industry has a lot to do to make the workspace more pleasurable grounds for women. And no, I'm not referring to pay. I'm referring to the harassment cases that have come out and things like that. The industry has a lot of work to do. No telling, no question about that. But he said that we've got gender-neutral controllers in black, white, and wasabi. Okay, so 2 of those, fam, are standard controllers. That's just standard controller colors for Xbox and PlayStation. And as to the third, I have never heard a human being in my life say that they desired a wasabi controller. If you're out there, congratulations. It was made for you, but I don't believe you exist.
Agreed.
Wasabi.
Yuppie. That's some real yuppie stuff, man.
Hey, Eric, is that not the most Silicon Valley tech bro BS you ever heard?
Hey, Sam, I was actually thinking about that because I said this seems like Hulu launched this, not Google.
Man, what killed me is someone was like, "Who launched the Ouya 2?"
If anybody watches Silicon Valley, I'm just like, man, this is something that would happen in that show.
Yeah, that
it would just be like a complete mess. It's crazy. And it's like we'll sit here all day and we'll say, oh man, Google has the money to kind of like weather the tide and everything else, but Google's acting like they're completely aware of the fact that they have the money to weather the tide. But it's like, no, you're supposed to come out of the gate strong. And this is very weak.
I can say
it doesn't seem serious. Like you're not taking it serious.
Exactly, Eric. Exactly. Yeah. Like it honestly, it comes across to me as, oh God in heaven, we have to beat xCloud to market. That's what it comes across as. Is we have to rush to market. We have to get out there before anyone else. But at what cost to your brand are you doing that? I know for a fact there are people at very, very high up positions at say rival companies like Xbox and or PlayStation that expected Google to come out swinging way harder. They expected them to be buying studios. They expected them to be money-hatting exclusive games for Stadia. They expected a way bigger push, and this just comes across as this limp-wristed instead of a knockout punch, or even an attempt at a punch. Mm-hmm. I think I've said all about Stadia. I legitimately hope they have a comeback because I like competition, but right now I don't see it happening.
Not wrong. I didn't even think about it until you were saying that, but even the Epic Store made a bigger push to get exclusive games than Stadia has.
Yeah, and that's a PC that's a PC store, not an actual. They're not even trying to sell you They're trying to get engagement numbers. They're not even trying to sell any form of hardware or anything else.
There's no Epic console, not yet.
Oh, good lord. If I could find another reason to dislike Tim Sweeney, it's him naming an Epic console. And and our 2 exclusive developers are Randy Pitchford and David Cage, and I'd just be piecing the hell out of that conference so fast. No, I really like. Let me be real. I'm mocking the hell out of Stadia right now. Like I mocked the hell out of the Xbox One when it launched. I mocked the hell out of the PlayStation 3, even though I bought one day one. Who has 2 thumbs is a dumb dude. This guy. But the thing is you need the criticism to do better. And I don't think that just because Google's launching into something new and they're doing something different doesn't mean they should be immune from criticism. Because a lot of people are like, well, they're trying something completely different. We shouldn't be so harsh on them. I'm like, as soon as you take my money, I'm going to be harsh on you. As soon as you want...
I'm sorry. Any $billion-dollar company, I don't feel sorry. If you're trying to put a consumer product on the market and you have that. No.
Well, your own damn.
We're not talking about orphans.
The
treehouse. Like, oh, come on, guys, it's the first attempt.
How is Google gonna eat?
Right.
Yeah. The thing is like I'm interested in some of the tech, some of their multiplayer tech they've talked about, and all these different things they've talked about. But they don't have Windows for it. They're like, it's down the road. And I've been around enough Google products to know that down the road can mean in your garbage can next year. Mm-hmm. So, like I always say, I would love for them to prove me wrong. But until now...
My inbox mail client.
Yeah.
I have nothing to say to them right now.
Yeah, let me go update my Google Plus account. So all my friends can follow me. See, it always seems with Google is that they're either one step too far ahead where they're trying to do something way too different, like Google Glass, for example, or they come to a part, like they're too late to the party, like with Google Plus after Facebook had already taken off. They always seem like either one step too far ahead or one step behind. And I feel like they're eventually going to get there, but I don't know.
Or they have a great program like the Nexus cell phone program, which is a very affordable phone that you can buy outright. You know, go to a carrier and you have a great phone, and they take that away and they try to get greedy and make $800.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you're right, Nick. You're right.
And like, I just have a hard time not leveling criticism at Google. It's the same criticism I have of Microsoft. Outside of Windows for a long time, I was like, what can Microsoft do besides the Windows operating system? As an avid Windows Phone fan, let me tell you, it's not much. Not much at all. Well, that's the Stadia talk, so that was depressing, so just throw that in the bushes right now. We're on to more amusing things, so to speak. So, Half-Life returned, but with a twist. They decided to hire M. Night Shyamalan, and Half-Life has returned in VR. That's the twist.
What a twist!
But the twist.
All I can ever think of is that Robot Chicken episode.
Yeah.
Oh man! So Half-Life is coming, but it's VR in Source 2 engine, and I ain't gonna lie, it looks pretty good. Like, it looks cool. Like, in terms of VR games, this is the VR game that people will want to play. I think, anyway. How'd you guys... Did you guys see the trailer today, or no?
Yeah.
Yep.
I watched it.
I did, and it looks darn impressive. I'll say that. Like it is. That is the first. There have been other VR games that did cool things, right? Like Moss. I give credit. Moss did some really cool things. Sniper Elite VR. I tried that out at E3 earlier this year, and Rebellion's doing some interesting things. You know, letting you actually snipe and crouch and stuff in VR. That's pretty cool, all in first person. But I can honestly say this is the first time I have seen a game, and I thought, okay, you couldn't do that outside of VR. Like, there's no way. It could not be translated even remotely, no matter how much you hacked away. Did any of you guys listen to the documentary?
No,
It's
I
about
did
22, 23 minutes. Jeff Keighley talks with some senior Valve developers, and I'm not going to say the whole thing. Like, go listen to it. It's a good documentary. But one of the highlights is they were explaining this has taken them years to develop, years and years to develop, because there are such complicated physics problems going on and physics math equations in the background that if you were to do this on a PC, you'd need several keyboards. And you'd need like half of the keyboard just to say, okay, lean around the corner, or here's the subtleties to move your, open this door very slowly and peer your head and aim your handgun through. Or if you rustle around, you can actually move objects around and find bullets and manually load them into your gun. That's insane. That's utterly insane. That's some Ready Player One, Star Trek holodeck stuff, and I mean that in a very positive way. If they can actually pull this off, how do I put this? People have been wondering what VR's killer app would be that would push things forward beyond comprehension. If this can't do it, I don't think anything can.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Go through the panel a little bit, give your guys' thoughts. Alden, you running it to buy a VR headset?
Oh, I mean, I have the PSVR. I don't know that I can justify getting the
Valve Index, I think.
Yeah, the Valve Index. That they
well, it's Valve.
It supports up to 4 different
actually,
types.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Valve Index is recommended because it's Valve's, but in reality, it also supports Oculus Rift, HTC Vive, and the Windows Mixed Reality headsets. It supports all of them, except on PC. But you have to have a pretty beefy PC.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I think I would need to upgrade my PC. I want this really bad. Half-Life.
I do too.
Yeah, Half-Life 2 was life-changing. And what's the timeline on this game? Because Sam, you listened to the podcast. Do they kind of go over what the timeline is here?
Yeah, it's set between Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2. It's set between the two games, and you play as Alex, as you would expect from the name. And this is while, the Combine crushed the human resistance, or they crushed the human militaries. They've started setting up the monolith, rounding people up into camps, and this is the beginnings of the resistance between Alex and her father, Vance.
I just wish I could play this on the PSVR.
Yeah, but I think it's pretty obvious this is well beyond what the base PS4 or Xbox could do in terms of processing power. Like, I don't know. I'll say this: I'm not convinced yet, because it's like this is one game at the end of the day. It's a 15-hour game, supposedly. It's very beefy.
It's not like a little experience. It's like a full-on game.
No, and they even said that. They said in the interview with Jeff Keighley, it would have been very easy for us to just do a little VR experience, but we wanted to do a game. We wanted to show people we're back in for games. And I'll say this. I'm not sure if I'll get it, but one game has me weighing the pros and cons of like a $350, $400 headset in my head.
Yeah.
They're doing something right if it looks that good.
Well, y'all can speak for yourselves.
It looks really great, and I'm sure it will be great. They haven't made a game in how long? What's the last game that Valve released?
Technically Artifact, but do you actually want to count that?
No.
No.
Don't count Artifact. I'm 90% sure it was Dota 2, but let me make sure. Let me just double check that right now, just so I don't get it wrong.
I'm pretty sure they did Portal Bridge Constructor. That counts, right?
There's no way they did that game, right? That was because Bridge Constructor was already made.
No, Portal Bridge Constructor is a game.
Too. Yep,
it was Dota 2 too.
Because I'm not going. If you don't count Artifact, and you don't count like that Portal Lab thing they released, or the different ports of games over with Nexon in Asian territories, if you're not counting any of that stuff, then it was Dota 2.
Okay.
Back in 2013.
When they spent all of this time developing it, they know what they're doing. They're not going to release anything less than stellar. And I don't know. I'm saying now I'm not going to buy a VR headset for it, but the reviews are going to come out. It's going to have a 150 Metacritic rating. I don't even know how, and I'm going to have to get a VR headset for it.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Yeah, that's fair. See, I'm looking at the price here of what I need to upgrade my PC, and then the headset, and if I want to play Half-Life, I gotta drop about 2 Gs. So, yeah, I'm good. I'm excited, because I think this is really the proving ground for VR on whether or not it can go mainstream or not. Because I think if the headsets come into a range of price where they are manageable for people to buy, and then this game comes out, like, this is the closest thing we've got to Half-Life 3 at this point. If this won't make people invest in VR, what will?
Yeah, and I'm going to be very blunt with you as well. They even said this is not the only game they're working on. They have other projects in store. I'm going to tell you right now, it has been many years. This is a proving ground for whether or not the internet actually wants Half-Life 3. Because think about it, it's genius. Hype built up over the years into something they could never match. So what do? You deliver an incredible VR game that it does all these crazy new things, but it also grounds people and gets them back on Earth because they understand, okay, that's what can be done in VR, but that's Half-Life. Then you can actually develop a proper Half-Life 3. Just saying.
That's a really good point.
And this is why Sam is on the podcast, because he understands the sneaky stuff. I definitely think, because of what really tips me off that there is another Half-Life project in the works is the fact that they're doing a game in between 1 and 2. They're not saying this is a sequel. They're doing an in-between story, which is very telling to me that they're just testing the waters. Like Sam said, because this, let's face it, Half-Life 2 released in what? 2004. 2004. So
Half-Life 2 Episode 3 was originally scheduled to come out in 2007.
So yeah, it's been like solid 15 years. So,
But yeah, Sam, that's just such a good point. I mean, this really does kind of make everyone go, all right, well, we got more Half-Life. Okay, I guess this is all we're getting. So it tempered everyone's expectations to a level that is manageable now.
It drags
saying
everyone back
Half-Life-
down to planet Earth. Exactly.
yeah, I'm interested to see.
Gold.
I'm interested to see how it plans out. I've long criticized VR that it's really, really cool, and I really, really love it. But in terms of money and financial gain for companies, it's not something they're going to get long term until they get it to the point where it's affordable and cost efficient. And like, how do I put this? Until like PlayStation VR is the most accessible VR gaming headset and is the most successful. It owns, I think at last total I saw, over 50% of the market share of VR headsets. So it is the most accessible, and Sony does a great job at supporting it with meaningful titles as well. There are tons of great titles on PSVR, so it's the most accessible. And even with the massive install base they still have very limited numbers, and they promote the hell out of it. And Sony has worked their ass off more than anyone else to make VR mainstream, and it's still not there. So I'm really curious if there is software that can get it, just push it over that edge. Matt Piscatella talks about it all the time, is that VR doesn't have that killer must-have app. Like, there's not any game where someone's like, I need to buy PSVR. Like, for us hardcore enthusiasts, there is, but there hasn't been a game where a casual viewer is going to be like, I need VR for that yet. I think if they did a Titanfall game in VR, I'd probably be there day one. I really want to pick up a PSVR, but my living room's kind of small, and my kids run around a lot, so I'd feel guilty as hell if I smacked one of them with a PSVR remote. But I'm interested to see what Valve can do with this. It's just great to see them making software again.
Oh, indeed.
But I don't know if... I don't know how it's going to work out. Because PSVR has got a majority of the mind share in terms of VR, and I don't know. I don't know how it's going to play out. I don't even have a guess. Like, this could blow VR into the mainstream, or this could just be like, we'll have to wait and see. So we're going to talk a little bit about sales, because everybody loves sales. We're going to talk about Pokemon. So for the past 3 to 4 weeks... Eric?
Because I'll be honest, man, that's the part of almost any other podcast that I tune out. When they start talking Pokemon, I'm like, all right.
We'll keep it brief.
We'll keep it
extremely brief.
We'll keep it sales related, and the only reason I want to talk about this is because I want to dunk on a particularly dumb sect of people.
We gotta cover it all, man. Even the stuff that we don't really care much about.
I catch them all.
Yeah.
There you go.
Like, we had to talk about Stadia for 20 minutes when none of us are emotionally invested in that. So, there was the big hubbub, 3 to 4 weeks, I'll say a couple of months before the release of Pokemon. There's no good quality animations, Game Freak's cutting corners, they don't have the full Pokédex, all these things. There was boycott Game Freak, Reddit was blown up, petitions were signed, and on its launch week, Pokemon Sword and Shield sold 6 million units. As a comparison, Pokemon Let's Go games hit 3 million in the same amount of time. It's hard to compare Switch titles because, of course, there's Sword and Shield, so it's 2 separate SKUs. There was also a combo pack as well. So I don't know if the combo pack counts as a sale for Sword and Shield, or if that's skewed separately. Sam, is that skewed separately for the duo pack, or no?
I actually don't know what the answer is regarding the Duo Pack.
Okay.
We'll have to hit Matt Piscatella up about that come, November NPD information, actually.
Yeah. So in terms of press release, just for people that are kind of finance nerds like me, Pokemon Sword and Shield is the highest grossing U.S. launch for a game in the series. Within its first 2 days, it sold through 2 million units in the States alone. The core Pokemon series has now exceeded over 240 million copies to date. So apparently these kids still love their Hoot Nannies and Pokemon, apparently.
Pokemon, but it's a juggernaut, and it has been for 2 decades almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been about 25 years, I think. 94 was when Red and Blue came out.
Right.
I was a year old when that came out. Holy shit.
Get out of here.
Man, I remember playing that on the Game Boy as a kid. It was great.
I remember playing it when I was 12.
Wonderful.
Man, I still remember my mom buying me Pokemon Yellow. I think I was 6, 7. And having Pikachu walk behind you was like one of the most mind-blowing experiences. I'm like, look at him. You can just talk to him, and I love that. I don't have a lot of interest in Pokemon anymore because I am one of those people where I was like, after 250, Gold and Silver, I think it was, I just really stopped caring. But I'm also kind of smart enough to realize these games aren't really geared for me anymore. And that's okay. And I think a lot of people have a hard time growing past that. Is that sometimes you grow out of your favorite franchise, or your favorite franchise doesn't go in the direction you want it to. And that's okay. I just think people just hold on to this stuff too much. Like, the nonsense before the launch of this game was like the fact that there was a hashtag Dexit that trended on Twitter.
Seriously?
Yes.
Yeah, no, it was a nightmare.
It was number one.
It was awful.
Too.
Yeah.
And so the only thing I'm going to say about that is let this be a lesson, please, that what people seem to be outraged about on Twitter does not usually translate into meaningful information.
Ever.
Tiny borderline handful of cases where it does. The vast majority of the time, it does not.
There is very few.
Just bear that in mind.
There's very few times where consumer outrage amongst the hardcore trickles over to the casual audience. The most recent case that I can remember where a company got bit on their ass by something along those lines was Star Wars Battlefront 2. Even my friends that were complete casual guys, like only played Madden and Call of Duty and everything, they knew about it. They're like, did you know that they're trying to screw you with Star Wars Battlefront 2 with pay-to-win microtransactions? I'm like, whoa. Okay, you play Madden, my team, but yeah, sure. But this is the thing, is like, there's this very thin line between gamer entitlement and consumer rights. There's a very thin line. And I think sometimes people go a little too much. They're like, I deserve this much for my $60. And then I'm not getting enough for my $60. And it's why we have overinflated games now. I blame 100% consumer whining, for lack of a better word, for why every game's 120 hours now. Because we whined that games were 15 hours long and we were paying $60, so we're like, screw it, every game's 100 hours now. And sometimes consumers are idiots.
A lot of times.
And by sometimes we mean more often than not.
Say, yeah.
Yep, because god damn it, you guys had to make Assassin's Creed a 150-hour RPG instead of a frickin' 20-hour game, and Ubisoft is like, we might make a Splinter Cell game. I'm like, great, that's gonna be 150 hours too. God damn it.
Yeah, this is some open world 150-hour damn game, and you go, this is not Splinter Cell, man. is not it. This is Assassin's Creed in the future.
And
Yeah.
a bunch of kids on Reddit are going to be like, yeah, well, the dollar to hour ratio is fantastic.
No. Oh my. No, the best one, shout out to Matt Piscatella, who has one of the most bizarre senses of humor. He shared this screenshot from Reddit, and it was someone explaining how it should only take Game Freak 6 days to bring all the Pokemon from all the old games to the new games. He's like, if you can get a developer that can import one of the Pokemon in 5 minutes, and you get 20 developers to do that, I'm like, did no one take coding in high school? Is that not offered in the United States? Is computer technologies not offered in the United States?
Yeah, I saw a post on Reddit where somebody did a breakdown of how long it would take if you use this program and this program, you convert it to this, and then it converts it to this, and then you just put it in the Switch cartridge. And it had like hundreds of responses. People going, see, this guy's know what he's talking about. Game Freak can't do it, but he could do it. And it makes me so happy that Pokemon went on to sell 6 million in 3 days.
Absolutely.
And I don't have it.
Yeah. No, I just... I don't know.
Yeah, like I said, I don't. It's not my thing, but I respect the hell out of it. You know, I just think it came a little late for me because Pokemon's been rolling since like '95, and I was 20. You know, so it was like wasn't really like
Really fair.
yeah the thing I was thinking of.
Yeah, I was gonna say 20. Yeah, I could definitely see Pokemon not being the appeal it was, and like I think I just hit that certain age where like
I did try. I mean, I did try, Nick. I mean, I had I'm trying to remember which one I had actually. It was on Game Boy Advance, whichever one that was. I don't know. And I played a bit of it, and I was kind of like, yeah, it just kind of faded on me. I was like, I get it, but it's not really my deal.
I mean, I really like. I like
Pokemon.
What?
I'm sorry, I was going to say, everybody likes all these Pokemon games, but as a kid, there's always one that stood out for me, and I've been waiting for a really good second one, and that's Pokemon Snap. That's the best one of them all.
Oh yeah.
Just saying.
It should exist on Switch. So bad.
The whole Nintendo 64 library deserves to live on the Switch. Okay. Like, listen, that is one of the most underrated libraries with the dumbest controller in history.
Hey, but it ushered in the analog, man.
Man, there's so much I loved about the Nintendo 64, but I cannot wrap my head around how that controller got past anybody. Like, who did... Like,
when that analog broke, there's a little dangling, like, knob in the middle there.
Like, who did QA on that? A three-handed alien? Like...
But it worked. That's the funny thing. It just... out of
It was comfortable, too.
Oddly enough, it really was, yeah.
Yeah, like, sometimes...
It doesn't look like it, because you just look at it and you're like,
what the hell is this?
Makes no sense, but it just worked, yeah.
Is this the head of a trident or something? A kid's toy?
It's a murder weapon.
Yeah.
Alright, so... we gotta get into the meat and potatoes of this episode. This is what everyone came here for, is our hot takes on the Game Awards. This is what everyone's here for. I know. Because everyone knows I have the most balanced and well-voiced hot takes. And everyone...
Illuminati Awards.
Yeah, the Illuminati Awards. I'm going to throw this out here right now. I think the Game Awards is rigged. I 100% think I do. I think there's certain creators that don't get enough credit, and there's some that get too much. It's a goddamn travesty that Baldur's Gate was not nominated for Game of the Year this year.
It was bound to come up at some point. At some point, Baldur's Gate was going to make an appearance.
But Jared, that's not the last time it's going to come up, I bet.
Oh, easily. I will
Aldi might be onto something.
Yeah.
All right.
Every category. Best sports game. Why isn't Baldur's Gate on there?
You run that game. You can run.
Look, I just wanted to get that good where people thought I was seriously digging into the Illuminati game lords theory, and then just flip it around to Baldur's Gate. It's the most on-brand thing I can possibly do for myself.
Best new kids title, Baldur's Gate 2.
Look, it's new. It came out this year. Fight me.
I love it.
Okay, so we're going to go through the nominations, and we're going to kind of give our opinion on what we think should win that category. It makes me really sad that the sponsorships have now slowly started to sneak into the actual categories. So we're going to start with the fresh indie game presented by Subway. I can't even.
Oh, the most garbage sandwich in the world sponsoring your category. Okay.
See, this is what I mean. The indie guys always get the short end of the stick. They get Subway. I guarantee you they'll get, like, someone else is going to get Chick-fil-A and someone else is going to get Popeyes.
This category is sponsored by Fresh Balls.
You know,
party unless somebody's sponsored by Fresh Ball.
Alright, so for the fresh indie game presented by Subway, we have from ZA and /UM for Disco Elysium, Nomada Studio for Gris, Dead Toast Entertainment for My Friend Pedro, Mobius Digital for Outer Wilds, Megacrit for Slay the Spire, and House for Untitled Goose Game. Before we pick anything out of this, I just want to say this is the most stacked I've ever seen the independent category. Like, ever.
Yeah.
Man, I was just gonna say, like, that's really hard. You have to make me pick. That's not fair.
So, I'm gonna speak. I'll go first. I'll speak from my own experience. The only game I've played off this list to completion is My Friend Pedro, which was absolutely fantastic. Especially since I think, if I remember correctly, Dead Toast Entertainment is one dude. One guy made that game, from my understanding, with a few contractors to help out. So, really great game. I started Untitled Goose Game, and it makes me so happy. So happy.
Isn't that game great?
It's just, it's wholesomely trolly. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, you're not evil, but you're not good. It's like chaotic neutral of the game.
I like to think it's the true embodiment of a Canadian and a goose.
Well, but it's like the 17th time I walk up to a child and honk. It shouldn't make me laugh, but I do every time.
Every time, man.
I bought it off, Eric messaged me, and he was like, have you played Untitled Goose Game? I'm like, no, man, I think it's only for Switch. He's like, no, dude, it's on PC, too. I'm like, okay. So I've never seen any footage of this game outside of the memes and everything else. It says I heard the first honk. I'm like, oh, that's that good shit.
Yeah. And the fact someone chases you away, you just flap your wings like, what? You know? But
yeah.
And the puzzles are like really good. Like sometimes you have to like really think about what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do I do with this?
So out of this list, if you guys have played any of the games out of this list, what would you pick for your game of the year? And I want to really give a credit to Disco Elysium. For the simple fact is there's so many people I respect in terms of reviewers that said it was like the best game this year, and I have not had a chance to play it yet due to review responsibilities.
I haven't either.
While I'm sure some of these games are fantastic, I have not played any of them, so I abstain.
Okay.
Sam hates indies. You heard it here first.
Sam likes eating. How's that?
Okay. Touche, sir. Jared.
Oh boy. Well, there's really only one game on that list that I've actually played a good amount of, and that's My Friend Pedro. And even though I've played that a lot, that'll have to be my pick as well for that category. But I got to give credit for all these other titles in here too, because all throughout the year they've been highly talked about, highly just critiqued very highly in a positive way. It received a lot of good feedback. A lot of people have really highly enjoyed them and said, hey, you know what, this is already like my game of the year sort of thing, or this is a true standout. This is what's going to stand out for me this generation sort of thing. I absolutely love this game. Every single one of these titles is just very highly critically acclaimed, and man, I'm just glad to see these titles here. It's hard to pick, but just because of experience of playing, I gotta pick my favorite.
It's fair.
Absolutely. Eric?
Yeah, the only two that I have played here is my friend Pedro, an Untitled Goose Game. I started the Outer Wilds, but I don't think I was in the headspace for it. But have heard nothing but good things about it, so I may return to that at some point. I've heard great things about Disco Elysium. Don't know too much about Slay the Spire or Chris. It's really tough. Out of my friend Pedro and Untitled Goose Game, you can't go wrong with either one. But I would probably pick Untitled Goose Game just for the fact that came out of nowhere in a way. And just kind of like, it's just so random. I love that.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
And I was, telling you guys in the DM, I don't know if you finished it, Nick, but I'm like, it has a pretty big end game. Like, once you're done, it gives you something else, but it's like more challenging. Like, there's more game to play. Like, it's quick. Like, you can get through the game actually pretty fast. But then there's like all this other stuff to do once you're finished. And you're like, more puzzle stuff and more intense. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
tough, man. Both those games are awesome.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely need to finish it and get into some of these other ones. I really love indie games. I just try to find the time with review requirements and everything else. It's bloody hard.
Yeah, it's really fun. I haven't finished it yet, but it's one of those games where I kind of like that. I like having it there to just jump in for like 10 minutes just so I can brighten my day a little bit and piss off a little. Make a boy buy his own airplane back. Like
that was awesome.
It was great. I've played a handful of these. I don't know anything about Disco Elysium, and now I wish I did. But I think out of this list, my pick is Grease. It's a gorgeous game with an amazing soundtrack. It's not difficult, but it's a fun little puzzle game. It's just immersing yourself in that experience is almost different than anything else.
The art in that game, the art direction is just beautiful.
Yeah, it's all hand painted, I believe. And the music is like this beautiful classical / orchestral music that just, with headphones on, just kind of takes you out of the world that you're in. I played it at the behest of Dan Rodriguez, who I didn't expect to love that game, and he was like, "Dude, you got to play it." And he was right. I loved it. I haven't played Slay the Spire either, and I get the feeling that I will love that game when I play it because it's kind of like a card collecting, deck building game, and I'm nerdy enough that I think that's going to be really fun. But I have to get up to Grease just for being something so ambitious, and that's a small studio too. I think it was just 2 or 3 people who made that game.
Yeah, indie games really pushed the envelope this year, and they deserve a lot of credit. So we're going to move on to the next category. We're going to try to move these along because there's a lot of these. So these ones are going to be fairly fast because I think most of us either play some of the categories, so it'll be easy to pick, and some of them it's like, who plays this anyway? So, best multiplayer games. So the nominations are Apex Legends, Borderlands 3, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Tetris 99, and Tom Clancy's The Division 2. So, once again, I will go down in descending order of the panel, which will start with Sam.
Yeah, I'm on the page. What on earth order are you doing this in? Are you just jumping around randomly? This is not in order, even remotely, which I hate. Because I'm trying to be with you. Okay, so it should be Gear 5. Tetris 99 should not be on there. I just want to say that. But of the games that are on here, it has to be Apex Legends. That's what I'll vote for. And that is what should win. I'm going to give 2 answers for all the ones I give answers for, by the way. I'll give what I think will win and what I'm voting for. And in this case, it's both Apex Legends.
Okay.
That's one answer then.
A storm, and it is the only game that actually threatened and made a dent in Fortnite. Fortnite hasn't quite been the same since it came out. It has to be that.
Touche. Jared?
I gotta agree with Sam. Apex Legends. It's just, made too heavy an impact in the Battle Royale scene to the point where it's just, yeah, there's Fortnite, but have you played Apex? Do you play Apex? Have you played it? No, but I played these other ones. Yeah, okay, but you played Apex? It's just taking such a stranglehold on, social media and on players that it's just become a beast. So, Apex Legends.
All right. Eric, the man who always plays all the multiplayer games.
The man who plays what?
All the multiplayer games.
Oh yeah, that's my bag, baby. I too will pick 2. I'm gonna pick Borderlands 3 because that's the only thing on here that I've actually played. But I think Apex Legends will win it.
All right.
And I'm picking Borderlands 3 because I was never a big Borderlands player. Like, I kind of skipped over the first one. I dabbled in 2. Borderlands 3 kind of like really hooked me in, finally. So, respect to Borderlands 3.
Fair enough.
Respect to Randy Pickford. But yeah, I think Apex Legends will take it.
Well, don't I have a USB stick and a magic trick for you then?
Gross.
Yeah, it's so gross. Even if it didn't turn out to be true, the fact that it was so believable is the disgusting part. Alden.
I actually have played almost all of these except for Call of Duty, which is weird. I'm not a big multiplayer guy. I love Tetris 99, Sam. I don't know what you're talking about. But I think Apex Legends, far and away. Just it changed the entire Battle Royale game just on day one.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Personally, out of those, I'm going to go with Call of Duty. But I think Apex will win. I think Respawn deserves the win and everything else, but Call of Duty, I think, deserves a nod because I've been off of Call of Duty for a few years now, and I forced myself to stop playing the multiplayer so I could keep up with some of the games coming out right now because it was so good. It's so kinetic. There's something about Call of Duty multiplayer that's just, it's so crisp. And gun balancing can be off and everything else, but it's just so kinetic. It works. The frame rate's always perfect. Never have any performance issues outside of a few crashes on launch week. It's just, it's good old Call of Duty, and that may seem boring to some people, but to me, that I've had more fun with that than anything else this year in terms of multiplayer. I also throw in that for my own personal choice, Gears 5 deserves a nod just for me personally because I enjoyed the hell out of the multiplayer in that. I did experience not 98% of the issues people apparently did with it. So, alright, so we'll move on. Yeah, we're going to skip the best sports and racing games because who cares? For those that are interested, it's Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, Dirt Rally 2.0, Pro Evolution Soccer 2020, F1 2019, FIFA 20. Kind of rooting for...
Skip it.
No.
You pretty much could have stayed with your whole...
No.
We didn't skip
I just want to note the fact that there's a smidgen of a chance that Crash Team Racing, a cartoon game, could win the best sports and racing game category. There's a chance.
I was going to say that takes my vote. Crash takes my vote.
Taking my vote too. I hope it does win it.
Screw everybody else. Give it a Crash.
We're skipping it.
I would do best strategy game, but once again, I think that's a category not a lot of people have played most of the entries in outside of Fire Emblem. Because the nominations are Age of Wonders Planetfall, Anno 1800, Fire Emblem Three Houses, Total War 3 Kingdoms, which Sam, I think, would have played. If you played...
Actually, I haven't, but it is the fastest-selling Total War game in history, non-fantasy. It's the fastest-selling historical. It's the fastest-selling non-Warhammer. Total War game.
Wow.
So I
That's
think
actually impressive.
I think millions of people have played it, Nick.
Yeah.
Just no one on this panel.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Tropico 6 and Wargroove. I'll say this.
I'm going to vote for Fire Emblem, and that should go to Fire Emblem. And it is a travesty. This is the only thing Fire Emblem is nominated for.
It's a travesty that it's not in the RPG section.
That is weird. That is weird.
I know we're gonna get there, but it's travesty is not in another section.
We're gonna get to that, and we'll have things to say, Eric. We're gonna get to that.
We're gonna skip best family game because we're all grown ass men, as Eric would say.
Grown ass man, dog.
Super Smash Bros. I'll vote for that, and it'll take it.
Yeah. I still think family game wise, I'm gonna go Luigi's Mansion 3 or Yoshi's Crafted World because I like those two games. We're gonna skip best fighting games because no one cares about fighting games. Get mad.
Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat.
What are you talking about? This has been the best year for fighting games in a decade, man. What are you talking about?
Let me spell it out for you. TRASH.
I knew that was coming.
I know California is not reviewed well, and some people love it or hate it, but I guess enough people bought it.
I guess.
It's gonna guarantee that Mortal Kombat would take it too, though.
Yeah, I think Mortal Kombat got that.
I don't know.
That will probably take it, but let's not discount the fact that Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is in here, and nothing grinds websites to a grinding halt than Super Smash Bros. Ultimate news. So it's between those two. I'm not sure which one I'll vote for yet. I'm not decided on that, but it's going to be one of those two that wins. And I think it's nonsense that Smash is even in here, but I'll save that rant for another category.
I know which category we're saving that for. So, best RPG. So we've got Disco Elysium, Final Fantasy XIV, which is an MMO and doesn't belong here, Kingdom of Hearts 3, Monster Hunter World Iceborne, and The Outer Worlds. Sam?
I'm not sure if I'll vote for Monster Hunter World Iceborne or The Outer Worlds. I'll probably go for The Outer Worlds simply because that is more of the traditional RPG. Monster Hunter, as much as I love it to death, isn't really an RPG per se in terms of decisions. So I'll probably vote for The Outer Worlds, but I can honestly see it going to anything that isn't Kingdom Hearts 3. My understanding from the people I know who play it is that Final Fantasy XIV got a killer expansion this year. Like, it was acclaimed. People absolutely love it. People love Disco Elysium. The Outer Worlds got great reception, as did Iceborne. So I really don't know which one's going to take it for this. I'll be honest, but I'm going to vote for probably The Outer Worlds.
See, I don't even I can't remember if Final Fantasy XIV was in the best ongoing game, but I feel like it fits more in there than the best RPG category. But that's just
At
me.
this point, I would see that, yeah, at this point.
Because,
It's been 2
like...
years since it's been out.
And
It
like,
is in best ongoing game. I
Yeah,
just
it
want
is.
to point that out.
okay.
Yeah.
But it's also weird for Monster Hunter World Iceborne. It's weird that there's an expansion in there. Like, I understand it's a very, 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 very meaty expansion, but...
Expansions have been in since forever. Witcher 3 Blood and Wine won Best RPG in 2016. Meaning expansions are allowed.
I don't like that. I don't
think Monster Hunter belongs in this category at all, but I got upset about that last year, and then it won Best RPG.
Yeah.
So what do we know? Right, Alden?
Exactly.
Hey, man, there are people who don't feel like expansions DLC should be nominated or anything.
I feel like expansions should, but that's just me. I won't take up our time.
Jared.
We can continue.
Outer Worlds. Definitely. I'd have to give my hat to Outer Worlds in this one.
Fair. Eric?
I'm going to vote The Outer Worlds, but I'm hoping it's Kingdom Hearts 3 because I want to see Rome burn.
What's
Man.
wrong with you, Eric?
I'm petty.
Fair. I'm...
Shoot.
before I get to Alden, I'm actually gonna hate myself for this because I haven't played enough of The Outer Worlds to say it's best RPG, but I have sneakily played about 30 hours of Monster Hunter World, and yeah, that's pretty damn good.
But is it an RPG?
I don't see. The thing is why I think in reality, what I think is going to win is I think either Disco Elysium or The Outer Worlds is going to win this category. I don't think Monster Hunter World is. I know the hell Kingdom of Hearts 3 isn't, and I think it's kind of silly if Final Fantasy 14 won it because, especially since they don't specify. Like, I'm not on the official site. But it's not even listed that it's the expansion that's nominated. They just have Final Fantasy XIV, which technically came out God knows how long ago. I don't know. I just don't think MMO should be... Like, if World of Warcraft showed up in here, I'd be complaining just as much. Because it just doesn't fit. What about you, Alden? RPG of the year.
I don't think I should get a vote because I haven't played any of these games. But I played a lot of Monster Hunter World. Huh?
Abstain!
I think Outer Worlds looks like the one I would like the most.
That's a fair thought. Alright, now comes into a...
Outer Worlds. I just love the art style.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, and it's higher graphic fidelity bar knife swinging, right, Eric?
Yeah, man.
All right. Now
it's a much more concise butter knife swinging simulator.
Yes. So, best action adventure game. This is where we're actually going to get into the stuff that's really meaty. So, best action adventure game: Borderlands 3, Control, Death Stranding, Resident Evil 2 Remake, Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening, and Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice.
That's a tough one.
So we're going to start with Sam.
This is a really, really tough one. Definitely, this is probably the one I'm still the most conflicted on, all things considered. Because I can honestly, even though I don't love it like the others do, I could make a case for Death Stranding in this one. I could make a case for Resident Evil 2. I could even make a case for Controller Borderlands 3. For me, it has to be Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice, though. I think that's the one I'll go for. I have no idea what's going to win here. I throw my hands in the air. I really don't. I think maybe Death Stranding, but I don't know. I really don't. This is the one I am most unsure on.
What a category, man.
Yeah.
This is, I would say, the most contested.
This looks more like the Game of the Year category to me than the one that we actually got. But
as they say, she thick.
Oh boy, kid-friendly content, boys. Jared.
Okay. Control. That one takes my vote.
Fair.
And you guys know how much I've played these other games too. Yeah, Control takes my vote. It's just, it's gonna stand out to me. I think for the rest of for quite a few years, honestly. It's just been such a nice oddity of a game.
I'm glad you and the other 4 people that bought it really enjoyed it.
Oh man, I wish people supported it more. It's such a wonderful game.
Hey, at least 4 of us here have it, right?
Right?
Yeah.
At least.
Unfortunately, I hate to imagine that's a significant percentage of the people for what little data I can get.
Personal thank you notes from Remedy. Thank you guys.
Hey, I got my.
I know the guy who was the lead producer on this game, but it didn't sell well, guys. I'm sorry, but that's not me making fun of it. That's just a fact. I'm a Remedy fanboy.
Sucks.
Y'all know that,
Right?
It's a stupid fact.
All right, Eric.
Man, oh man, oh man. My pick would be Sekiro. If you're just talking about just raw action adventure, I mean that game has it in spades, right?
You put a ton of time into that game too, so I'm actually not surprised you're picking Sekiro.
Yeah. It almost made me walk away. But, hey, platinum achieved. I'm happy about that. Okay.
Impressive.
Thank you, sir. But what I think is going to win, I think Link's Awakening is actually going to take it.
Ooh, bold choice. It's a bold choice.
Ooh.
I like it.
Going for the Nintendo bias. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, partly that, but I think more than anything, I think it's the cute factor, man. I think people they have a special place for it.
And Link's Awakening really summarizes like a quote unquote "you're going on an adventure" game. Yeah, really. Like it really and truly, like that's like some Frodo Baggins shit.
Second breakfast. That's some Frodo Baggins shit.
It's gonna be a new meme for us. That's gonna be a new and we're gonna have to explain to people where that came from because we're gonna keep on saying it.
See, I just need Norman Reedus now. When he gets a package in Death Stranding, they're like, "I need you to take it to South Knot City." He'd be like, "I ain't on some Frodo Baggins shit."
Too bad. That whole game is.
Yeah, that's basically.
I can just see myself using it on my wife when we have all these areas. Man, you're on some Frodo Baggins shit today, aren't you?
This is gonna be great. Alden, how about you? I know you spent some time with Link's Awakening too, I think, right?
Link's Awakening and Resident Evil 2 are both two of my favorite games of the year. Mm-hmm. I think Resident Evil 2 gets the nod, but it's close. Link's Awakening was so amazing. I didn't even think I was going to like it that much because I played the original Game Boy game, and this didn't really add anything to that. It's just the same game, but with a new skin. But it really does. Maybe it's just because it came out at a time when I was really dealing with a lot of anxiety and stuff, and it just kind of gave me an escape, and it was really good. It's a close call, but I'm going Resident Evil 2 because that was so good.
See, isn't that the beautiful thing about games?
Mm-hmm.
Like, just, the shittiest day, you have so much going on, and you just get to escape.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you forget. Yeah.
That's why we do it.
Right. And some games will forever stick with you because they got you through a shitty time, like Baldur's Gate.
No, I'm never going to forget
which was shunned off this list.
Baldur's Gate.
2, drinking game.
You can totally make it a drinking game every episode here.
Yeah, I apologize. If anyone turns me referencing Baldur's Gate on this podcast into a drinking game, I apologize in advance for your death.
We can make it into a new catchy thing. Come join us this night. Let's see how many shots you can get down in the new Game Perspective drinking game.
It is the Dark Souls of podcasts. All right.
Oh, shoot.
For my personal pick, in terms of action adventure game, I definitely feel like Legend of Zelda's Link's Awakening. I got to play it a little bit on my friend's Switch, and yeah, that game is fantastic. And to me, it really sums up the adventure game category. What I think's actually going to win, Death Stranding.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Those Nintendo fans are very persuasive when they want to be.
Yeah, there's way too many categories for this, so we're gonna have to jump through some of the ones that I know we didn't play a lot of, like Games for Impact. We'll be split on that. Let's go best performance because this category I've kind of got some issues with. So best performance. So this is best voice acting performance. So we have Ashley Birch as Parvati Holcomb in The Outer Worlds. We have Courtney Hope as Jessie Fane in Control. If I butcher people's names, I am so sorry. Laura Bailey as Kate Diaz in Gears 5. Mads Mikkelsen as Cliff in Death Stranding. Matthew Peretta as Dr. Casper Darling in Control. And Norman Reedus as Sam Porter Bridges. So, I've got two issues with this category. Number one, why the hell is there only 4 games nominated in this category? There's 2 nominations for Control and 2 nominations for Death Stranding. Really lacking some diversity there. And also, this is a petty thing, and people will probably disagree with me on this, but there's just something so abhorrent to me about seeing Norman Reedus and Mads Mikkelsen nominated. And I don't mean as a knock against them, because they did offer great performances in Death Stranding, but it feels so weird to see Hollywood actors having a chance to take awards from hardworking voice actors that have been in the industry for so long. I don't know. Just it makes me feel weird.
I think you're going to be seeing a lot more of that. It's just like how actors Hollywood to TV. So I think the game space is so big now. You're going to start seeing more of that.
You will. My issue is I don't think you should be allowed to have 2 from a game or multiple from a game. I think it should be limited to 1 per game.
Yeah.
That's my opinion, though. It is what it is. So what I'll say is this: all of these people, all 6 of them, put on phenomenal performances, and I can understand them all being like in here. Like again, I'm not in love with Death Stranding the way others are, and yeah, Norman, Mads, you guys are doing a great job. You're actually getting me to feel things amidst the nonsense. That's pretty darn good. Casper Darling, absolutely insane. Courtney Hope, she always does a great job. I met her at E3, by the way. Real sweet.
Nice.
Yeah, Laura Bailey, I mean, come on. She gave Kate incredible life with her character. Ashley Birch, Parvati must be protected at all costs. So what do you want me to say? You know, Jared knows what I mean. Jared knows what I mean.
I'm standing right there with you, man.
And I've always spent like a little bit of time with her, and I'm already
She's
like
so
enamored with
cute.
her.
She's so adorable.
She is easily the best companion. Easily. She must be protected at all costs.
Absolutely.
So I'll say this. I'm not going to be upset about any of them getting it. I will personally probably vote for Laura Bailey as Kate Diaz, but I'm not going to like be, oh, this person was robbed. Like, no, you all did a great job. I can understand all of you being up here.
I have a question,
that's me,
though. I do have a question. Like, so does this mean like in 2019 there weren't any other standout performances while we have so many doubling categories?
That's the thing. Like, I'm not sure I agree with that. But, you know.
I personally don't understand the hard-on the awards had for Control this year, because when it came out, everyone seemed middled on it, and now all of a sudden it was the best game that came out this year, and I'm kind of confused by that, but I digress.
I tell you, it feels like somebody's like, you're gonna put some respect on Remedy's name. We're tired of this shit.
It seems like something I would pull behind the scenes, right?
So hold on.
I've had enough of this Remedy.
So hold on. Let me put on my Illuminati hat. So Sam joins big website. Now all of a sudden Remedy's getting a lot of rewards.
Someone play the X-Files music right now. But no, I mean, whatever your issues with Control, Courtney Hope is a fantastic voice actress.
Yeah.
So,
Jared?
Okay, so I gotta throw this out there. Mads and Sam, their performance in Death Stranding, honestly, in my eyes, they're not good. I do not like their performances in that game. They're not very lifelike. They're very stale, stiff, and they're not a whole lot of emotion in those damn characters. I don't think they should even be in this damn category. My vote goes to Parvati from The Outer Worlds. She's fantastic.
I'm going to throw it in there, too. Jared actually loved Death Stranding. It was the first one out of all of us to beat it. And
Still playing it.
And he's still playing it.
He wasn't really looking for the game.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and I agree with him because
what happened there? We're all really confused.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that in our Death Stranding episode. But I'm of the same mind because I haven't seen anything so far where I'm like, yeah, this is a great performance. I've always found Norman Reedus to be a bit of a deadpan actor. But once again, opinions are like, never mind. I was gonna say something, but demonetized.
Right?
Kid friendly.
But honestly, both their performances were not impressive. They're very plain.
Let me put it this way. In the films I've seen Mads Mikkelsen in, I know he's capable of a more emotional performance. I'll put it that way.
Absolutely.
Absolutely,
with both of them.
Yeah, I'll put it that way. Eric.
Yeah. I guess I haven't finished The Outer Worlds yet, so I haven't put a ton of time. But just off of the little sample that I've gotten, yeah, Parvati is a national treasure. But I'm actually going to go with Laura Bailey. I think her performance as Kate was awesome. And again, like Sam said, there's no slight on anybody else in here. Except I'm kind of with Jared on the whole Norman and Mads thing. Like, they're fine, Sam and I talked about this. I think the performances are good. You know, they're actually really good for what the game is doing. But against some of these others in this category, they're okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not. Yeah, it's not like knocking me out. It's not blowing me away.
Not doing
or
a
anything.
bad job. It's just like comparing what they do to like what Laura did as Kate, or what Ashley does, you know, as Pravati. You're like,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Alden, how about you?
I got to go to Laura Bailey too. I mean, maybe I'm biased because I think she's fantastic, but I tweeted it yesterday. She's pretty much the only reason I stayed all the way through Gears 5. She made that game what it was. There were so many scenes where her voice acting made it that much more emotional and heart-wrenching. I haven't played Outer Worlds, and I haven't watched any video because I know I want to play it, so I don't know how Ashley Birch does. And Nick, you know how much I love her because she was in the greatest game of all time, Horizon Zero Dawn. But I can't vote for her, but I will. I have to go with Laura Bailey either way. So, but I agree with what you guys are saying. Like, I don't know why Mads and Norman Reedus are even in this category. I haven't played that either, but I've seen enough video. And where's the voice acting? Like, they were there. That it wasn't anything. It didn't make the game.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in our Death Stranding episode because I think the mechanics in the game loop are actually better than the actual character acting. But I digress. I'm going to go with Laura.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Nick. I was just going to say, you know, if you want to talk about like performance-wise, I think Lindsay Wagner's performance is actually better than most of them.
Oh, yeah.
And she's not even in there.
Yeah, don't get me started on that. Del Toro should have been in there. His face was there, but his voice wasn't.
Who's the guy? Yeah, get him in there.
He plays quite a significant role in that game, and actually he does actually provide quite a good acting performance.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go with Laura Bailey because she made me give a shit about Gears of War. Which
that's good. I was just going to say as well on the Death Stranding thing, I think if anyone from Death Stranding should have been nominated, it should have been Troy Baker as Higgs.
The guy that played Die Hardman too.
I would just say Higgs because like he is. You can tell Troy Baker doesn't get to be a villain that often. He doesn't get to be a psycho that often, and he just lets loose. He's chewing the scenery to bits. So I would give it to him over Mads or Norman. No offense, but anyways, that's off topic.
Yeah, but then if if Troy Baker did get nominated, it'd be another here we go. Troy Baker's nominated again because the dude does like 20 games a year. But for real though, everyone always complains about how Troy Baker's in everything and everything else, but as Higgs, he really stood out because as Sam said, he doesn't get to play a bad guy very often, and when he does, like if I was making a game right now, I'd get Troy Baker. I'd be like, that's my bad guy. That's my bad guy right there.
He's a pretty sadistic guy in the game.
Yeah. It's literally I haven't had all my experiences with him, but that first encounter with him, it's just crap. It's like chilling, like the way he's kind of like coming at you and stuff.
Yeah, it's
one itty bitty void out to blow us all to kingdom come. That was the moment when I was like, okay, I'm listening. All right.
Yeah,
that's absolutely right. He was having fun with that.
So, because of time constraints, we're going to skip right to the game of the year because this is a controversial topic for everybody.
What? No, we're going to see this thing through. Continue.
Oh my god. No, because here I'll sum up the game awards for you. Best art direction, best score music, best narrative, best game direction. It's all going to Death Stranding. Just get over it, deal with it, process it. It's gonna happen.
They can't even get best music. They used other people's music for their own crap. Don't even get me started on that. They didn't compose their own damn music. God.
But they used it well, right?
Get out of here.
They used it darn well.
They did, but God.
Alright, so how about this? We'll do best narrative next.
Okay.
Because there's a game in here that I feel was completely snubbed out of a lot of categories it deserved to be in. Okay, so best narrative nominations: A Plague Tale: Innocence, Control.
That one.
Yeah.
That one.
Okay, so
That's mine.
okay, Death Stranding, Disco Elysium, and The Outer Worlds. So Sean,
I'm voting. We're all voting for A Plague Tale, and it better darn go to A Plague Tale.
I sure hope
that game
so.
got snubbed.
Yep.
Oh, so badly.
Alden, any?
I'm abstaining because I haven't played A Plague Tale, and I think that would be my pick.
Alden?
It is like
I will-
think the best 10 to 13 hour game to come out this generation.
I
I
would
need to play it.
I would put it this way, Alden. This made me appreciate The Last of Us.
Ooh.
It's the scale we're talking about here.
Yes, everyone knows I abhorrently hate overly linear style games. But I also hate open world games, so I just hate video games.
Yeah, I don't know why. I was planning on getting into it, and then I put it aside, and I haven't gone back to it, but I need to play it.
It's so good.
All
It
right.
really is worth it. Like a weekend to sit down and play it.
Yeah, it is a really short game, and it came at a time where I was just coming off a really long game. I can't remember what game it was. Oh, I remember what it was. It was Days Gone. I was coming off of Days Gone, and I went into A Plague Tale: Innocence, and I went, this game is so perfect in comparison. Because I finished A Plague Tale: Innocence in the time it took for Days Gone to get good.
I think I was coming off Sekiro.
Yeah, that would do it too. We're gonna do best art direction. So we've got Control, Death Stranding, Gris, Sayonara Wild Hearts, Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice, and Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm just gonna throw it out there that I can't choose because stylistically all these games are fucking amazing.
Yeah, like these all have great style. I'll just say really quickly, this is the one I'd give to Control. Control has phenomenal usage of empty, clean spaces and office interiors that are way too empty and clean for their own good, and big, bold, bright fonts that blare out in front of you every time you walk in, and the pyramids and the shapes. This is the one I'd give to Control, for sure. Fantastic art direction
Yep.
in that game.
I won't even disagree with that one. The slightest.
I'm going back with Grease on this one. It was just so interesting. Sayonara Wild Hearts, by the way, was a really interesting art direction too. I don't know if anybody has played that, but
No, I
It
haven't
was a-
loaded up on played it yet.
it was a really, really unique experience. You're playing through all of these weird pop songs with weird art, and it's kind of a rhythm game, but it's kind of not. But I just can't pick anything else over Grease.
That's fair. That is completely fair. Jared, what about you?
He already agreed with me on Control.
Oh,
Ah!
Eric.
It's gotta be, yeah, mine goes with Control for sure.
Eric, any?
I'm actually. I haven't played. I'm gonna go with Control, but I have this feeling that Sayonara Wild Hearts is gonna take it.
So I can see that. I can totally see that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've heard like so much about it. Like people, and the thing that they always talk about is, and the music. I should say.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's either like in my heart, it should either go to Gris or Sayonara Wild Hearts, but I feel like Death Stranding's actually gonna get it.
Which one
No
looks better
way.
on a Samsung QLED?
It is.
That'll be the one that wins.
Control, honestly. But
All right, so we are gonna do the Game of the Year talk because we gotta get this wrapped up here. So this is an interesting category this year. So the nominations for the Game of the Year are Control, Death Stranding, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Resident Evil 2 Remake, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, and The Outer Worlds. I'm going to preface this with some a little bit of base information before we get into what our picks are off this list. No, Jeff Keighley does not make this list himself. It is voted on by, I believe, a panel of 80 people that range from big media outlets to developers. These are the games they decide to pick, and it is important to remember that these picks are relevant to people's tastes and are not factual.
With that said,
with that being said, there's two things I don't like about this list that are wrong with this list in my head. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, I don't like a 2018 game being in there. I get that it released late in 2018 and was exempt from it, but somehow I understand how big of a game it is. I just don't think it should be on here. No.
I co-sign that. If you're going to have a hard cutoff point, then you should have that cutoff point. It should not be allowed to bump other legitimately fantastic games that actually came out in 2019.
Yeah, because I was kind of thinking there were games from prior years that missed the cutoff that probably deserved to get bumped, but they didn't get the.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm just going to say one thing here. I've seen people going around saying, "Oh, well, Jedi Fallen Order is going to be eligible next year." No, it won't actually. They've actually gone out of their way to say, "No, it won't." This is not a one-off, but this is due to it coming out after the cutoff point. Jedi Fallen Order and Pokemon did not come out after the cutoff point. They just didn't get the votes due to some awkward situation on this that we really don't have time to go into. So I'm tired of hearing that and seeing that on Twitter. That's the thing.
And the second thing is, I don't think Death Stranding should be there, not because it's not a great game, because I'm enjoying my time with it, but simply the optics of the game being there. It's terrible. Because the thing is the Game Awards were hyped up like, people don't seem to remember, back in 2016, Keighley and Kojima were like hand in hand, and like Kojima being at the Game Awards in 2016 was a huge, massive deal. And like, the Game Awards has featured the big trailers for Death Stranding. Jeff Keighley's in the game. There's so many things. I'm not saying this influenced the decision of this game becoming Game of the Year, but from an optics standpoint, it's terrible. Like, it's like, even if you dive deeper into it, and people aren't diving that deep into it, is the fact that the one editor, if anyone read the Kotaku article about the Death Stranding review from Famitsu, where one of the guys who reviewed it, of the 4 people that developed or reviewed it through that publication, was actually featured in the game. To add insult to injury, I do believe it was brought up on social media, I have not had a chance to fact check it, that he's actually on the board for his consultation for Game of the Year for that. To me, that's more of a eyebrow raiser than Jeff Keighley is. But I just don't think he should have included it, because I feel like, to a public eye, like, if you don't know all this precursor information, it delegitimizes the whole show. It literally, like, if you're a casual viewing audience and you don't know that this game is picked out by a board of 80 people, and you're just like, okay, so the guy he brings on stage every year won Game of the Year. Okay, eye roll, move on. I think it's an optics thing. I don't think it's actually rigged or anything like that. I just think the optics are terrible.
And we're not even talking just in Game of the Year. Death Stranding is in like 10 other categories. It's a really bad look. Yeah. All things considered.
Yeah, and it's going to be even worse as if it takes all those categories too. Like, I'm not saying.
I just want to interrupt you. I am going to interrupt you because I wanted to fact check, because I was going to roast you if this wasn't the case. But no, Famitsu is on the voting board. So I'm not going to touch that particular phrase, because that phrase will attract a certain kind of crowd. But I have feelings about that kind of thing. That's
Is it the guy that reviewed the game that is in the game that's on the board?
It's all of them. It's the entire board.
The entire board.
So yeah,
take that to be the outlet, as you were.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I don't want to get into that but
no, I know what you're saying, Sam, and I agree with you. I'm not trying to Famitsu does amazing work. Do not discount that. But if there was more of a conflict of interest, to me, that's more of a conflict of interest than even Jeff Keighley is. And like I said, if at the end of the day, this stuff doesn't actually matter, and to me, I'm actually here more for the reveals than the actual awards, but that's just me. So out of these games, what do you think is going to take Game of the Year? Memes aside, of course.
It's tough. Honestly.
of the go ahead, Eric. Go ahead.
Oh no. Okay, I was gonna say I've said from the jump I'm standing by Resident Evil 2.
Sure, good choice.
And I've seen people on Twitter, kind of going and saying, well, a remake should not be in for Game of the Year, and I'm like, I disagree for the fact that I can understand if it was a remaster, but in this case, this game was rebuilt from the ground up.
Capcom treated it like a new game. They explicitly said that. And I co-sign you. It belongs up there. It has a spot up there.
Yeah, you have 2 decades separating when the original came out to this one coming out. So for someone like me who played the original, I told you guys this when I played through. I was like, it's like I don't remember anything, and this is like all me. Even though I kind of know this and I kind of know that, it still feels so new because of everything that they did to the game, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have a new audience like you guys who experienced it for the first time. It's all new assets, it's new environments, it's new character models, it's new everything. So it's like, I can understand what people are saying, but at the same time, I'm like, you can't take away everything they put into it. They didn't just cash grab it.
No, absolutely not.
So yeah.
So you're going for Resident Evil 2. What do you think will win, though?
I think Resident Evil 2 will. I'm hoping. I think.
You hope. You're hoping that's what's it, right?
As I'm saying it, I'm like, oh my god, man, it's not the whole optics thing. I'm hoping Resident Evil 2
the discourse.
But that petty side, it's like. Because what Nick is saying is true too, but I'm like, it's like two minds about the whole thing. Like, if Death Stranding wasn't in so many other categories and Game of the Year, I might be okay. I get it, I understand it. But people have kind of been against the whole Keighley Kojima friendship from jump. It weirds people out for whatever reason. I'm just like, I understand why he's so big on the friendship, because you grow up playing somebody's games and you actually become friends with somebody who be like an idol or a hero.
That's like the dream scenario, right? That's the dream.
I mean, I know there's a lot of people in the community, there's a lot of different developers, a lot of executives, whatever, that if you had the opportunity to legit become a friend with that person, someone who meant a lot to you for whatever reason, like Alden's saying, like, there's games that we play that kind of bring us into this world, and you may be going through something that could be your favorite game, and you get the opportunity to meet that person and become friends. I get that. That's not an odd thing. That should be something to be celebrated, that people connect, right? But it is an odd thing, and you can't help the fact that, okay, I'm going to buddy in the game. He's not being voiced. He just used his likeness in the game, right?
I believe so, yes. Right. I believe so, yeah. Now,
I kind of look at it like, if there was some funding that happened, absolutely, But it's a sticky situation. It's a weird thing. Ultimately, I try not to put too much in it because, like Nick said too, at the end of the day, it's trivial as hell.
Sure, at the end of the day, it's video games. So come on, people.
Oh,
but there is definitely, for those of us who either it's our passion or it's a part of the industry, I don't think we should just shut down conversation.
No, I don't. That's
we
why
should
I'm
be
careful.
Able to have it, right?
Yeah, I'm careful with dismissing it because gaming means a lot to us. That's why we do what we do. That's why we're here. It means a lot.
Grow if we don't discuss it.
Right. So yeah, so I hope Resident Evil 2 wins it. Yeah. I can see Death Stranding winning it. A wild card would just be Sekiro winning it. But I think Sekiro is just not accessible to as many people. It's just one of those games,
Right.
So yeah, that's my long-winded pick.
That's fair. Alden, how about you?
I think Resident Evil, out of this list, Resident Evil 2. I think it's so weird. There's so many good games left off this list.
Yeah.
I can't believe Plague Tale's not on this list. Absolutely. I can't believe Fire Emblem's not on this list.
Absolutely.
Here's 5. I'm sorry, I'll put that up there. It should be over
Come on, Sam.
And I love Remedy. I love Remedy to death, but over Control, I don't want to.
That's another optics thing, because it's amazing to me. The game didn't chart in this vote for Game of the Year, and people.
No, and even at the time, like, this is, again, I really enjoy the game. I really enjoyed Control. To be clear, I remember telling you that, Eric. I got all the achievements. I remember us having the conversations about you weren't really feeling it, and I was, but I acknowledged it had some problems. But this honestly feels like this complete 180 of, oh, we loved Control. Actually, everyone loved it. And it's like, no, you didn't. You really, really didn't. You said it was an okay game, probably a little better than okay, better than average, and it had a lot of technical issues at launch. I mean, it was basically unplayable on anything other than the PC or an Xbox One X for like a month. And now you want to act like everyone fell head over heels for it? That's not the case. And I say that as someone who arguably did fall head over heels for it, in spite of itself. I'm sorry if that rant doesn't make any sense, because it might seem contradictory. But I have weird feelings, as much as I love Remedy, about that game being up there, considering it. I don't know. It feels like it came from an alternate timeline. It's weird.
Can I put my conspiracy theory hat on too? My Illuminati hat. If I were to look at it in that lens, it almost looks like they were going, well, we can't have Death Stranding in all these categories and not have something else in a lot of these categories. We've got Death Stranding in, I think, 8 categories I counted, and Control is in 7 categories.
Thing is in 9 and Control is in 8, but it's okay.
Okay. Oh, I must have skipped the first category Game of the Year. But I'm sure that's not it, because that's crazy.
Oh, that's impossible, and that is a conspiracy, but that's what it feels like, right?
That's what it feels like.
It's another odd optics thing. It's like, what's going on there? Because I know, like, I responded to Ivan on Twitter, and people were kind of coming back and saying, well, sales shouldn't really... I'm like, I'm not really saying sales. I'm like, the game didn't even chart, so somewhere along here, people weren't really looking for this game.
Right, there's a disconnect. I think that's the best way I can put it.
Well,
disconnect between... And again, I will repeat this. I am a Remedy fanboy. They are arguably the only studio that I will blind myself to overlook their problems. I freely admit that. But it feels weird, and it looks weird. And honestly, I'm not a betting person, but I would have bet money that Fire Emblem or A Plague Tale or Gears 5 would have gotten in it and Control wouldn't. I would have taken all
about those things as those games were coming out. We're like, this is absolute... And then we get this, we're like, whoa, where did Control come from?
Look.
It's
strange times.
I'm like, really?
Look, I'm going to put this...
With this weirdness in mind, and the fact that we will be doing our own separate gaming perspective conversation about our favorite game of the year, I'm sure. Of these, I'm probably going to go with the pack and say, yeah, voting Resident Evil 2, I think Resident Evil 2 will take it. It's just so good.
I'm going to put it this way. It's weird to me that Fire Emblem is one of the highest rated games this year. And I don't put a lot of stock into Metacritic, but one of the highest rated games this year, one of the games where anyone who I've seen touch it goes, this is a game. Like, I know people that weren't JRPG fans, so like, I can't put this down. And it's so strange to me that it's not even in the conversation, but a game that when Control came out, the only thing the media was talking about was performance issues and how it lacked direction. And how it didn't feel complete, but it's Game of the Year now. And that's just so weird to me. I'll see for myself.
I'm talking about that because the focus is all on, like the Kojima factor and Death Stranding and everything else, which is, fair, but yeah. I'm not saying that there needs to be some big argument about Control. It is what it is.
Yeah,
it is an odd thing.
It is an odd
if
thing.
It's up there, we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't think Smash should be on here either. Not even because of the 2018 thing. It's a great game. It's a really fun game, but it's not doing anything different at all. It's literally Smash for the 5th time with everybody added in and a few extra characters.
Yeah.
That'd be like putting Madden on the list. Like, we got a new roster. It's Game of the Year.
Madden's a little strong. I think that's a little strong of a statement.
Mortal Kombat 11 being on here would be the alternative.
Comparison. I think like this is fan service turned up to an 11, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's great, but
Right.
over Fire Emblem,
It's a
Over a
Wii U
Plague Tale?
port. Like Alden said, it's the Wii U, but it's the fan service game. It's the Wii U port. Everybody thrown in, right? Does that make a game of the year?
Yeah.
I can see if you we need a Nintendo game in there. Let's just say we're gonna do the token Nintendo game. It's not like you didn't have other options.
Hey.
You had Fire Emblem Three Houses. You even had Luigi's Mansion. I'm gonna cut off.
the Luigi's
Awakening.
Mansion. The Luigi's
So good.
Mansion and Fire Emblem combined snub is actually kind of amazing. Because as much as I don't like the fact that Gears 5 didn't get a nom, at least Gears 5 got like 3 other nominations elsewhere. So at least it managed to do that. Like, the Fire Emblem snub is amazing, actually.
It's baffling, actually. It's like you had another option. Smash, like, wow, all of a sudden.
Strange times. Strange
Yeah.
times.
Jared, your game of the year before we wrap this up?
All right, so I'm going to stick by my choice that I kind of put out there on Twitter yesterday and saying that I would like to see Sekiro take Game of the Year. You guys know how much I am of a Dark Souls from software kind of fanboy sort of thing, so this game has been right up my alley ever since I came out from the... But I'm really disappointed A Plague Tale isn't on there, because if A Plague Tale was, that would be my vote, hands down. I played so many games this year. I've completed almost most of the AAA bangers that have come out this year as well. I've played a good amount of the indies, and everything that I've played this year, A Plague Tale has been the most standout game for me. Actually good. So good.
I actually...
Sekiro's my next choice.
To put it in perspective for people, if people know how much of a stickler I am on reviews, Plague Tale Innocence, I believe, I could be wrong, I have to go back and check, I think it's my highest reviewed game ever. Since I've been writing
I
reviews.
remember you mentioning that a while ago.
I think it's the highest because I think I put it at 9.4, which is a 0.1 above where I put God of War. So if that doesn't speak volumes about a smaller studio delivering a AAA compact experience that did overstay its welcome, if that doesn't speak Game of the Year, I don't know what does. I think the Game of the Year category is always too AAA focused. They always throw an indie title in to kind of like Celeste last year. Like, I played Celeste this year after being like, why is Celeste in here? And I was like, holy shit, it was actually really good. And it was actually Alden that made me play it, because he's like, you have to play it to understand it. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I played it and I get it now. I understand why people are so high on the game. Yeah, Alden was right. Nicholas was wrong. It happens. This year they just seem to say, fuck it, we're going to throw a 2018 Nintendo game and a bunch of AAA games. And I'm just not overly geeked with the picks. Like, I love these games. Like, I'm not going to, like, the optics of it aside, Death Stranding's a really good game. I really am enjoying my time with it. But if I was to say what's going to win Game of the Year for me personally, it's Resident Evil 2 Remake. That that was the first remake. Like, when I played Shadow of the Colossus Remake, which is a darn good remake, do not get me wrong, that's a darn good remake, there was still some of that old jank to it, control-wise, oh god, the horse. That was where there was still a little bit of jank there, but you could, if you didn't put remake in that, and you just handed someone Resident Evil 2 remake, but just didn't tell them it was a remake, they would have thought it was a 2019 game. No problem.
Absolutely.
Except for the inventory management, which was very old school still, but I love that. I love that. And it was just such a perfect, tight experience, and it made me miss replayability factor of a game. Your game didn't need to be 50 hours. It was the fact you put 50 hours playing the same 8 hours, but differently. Mm-hmm. And it's so perfect. And for me, it'd be so cool to see Capcom come full circle and win Game of the Year with Resident Evil 2 Remake.
Just to finalize their comeback.
Absolutely. And that's just kind of where I'm at with it. And at the end of the day, it's the Game Awards. I said this to, I think I was talking, it was either Eric or Sam, because we all DM each other all the time, is people get so mad about the Game Awards. We got mad about it last year. I can't remember what people were mad about last year. I can't remember. But people get all worked up about this all the time. But how often when you're watching movies, how many people actually pay attention to the Grammys? Like, religiously, who, like, outside of James from Multiverse Show, I don't honestly believe 98% people care about the Grammys anymore.
And I want to be clear as well, considering we've done some roasting tonight, we need to be honest and do some praising as well. And I tip my hat to Jeff Keighley every year for him pulling this together by sheer willpower.
Yeah.
And making it happen. Like, I appreciate that. I really do love what he's trying to do.
I want to make that clear. He did it. It's a labor of love. Mm-hmm. You know, having love for the industry. You know, that's what
he does this because he likes games.
Yeah,
and I appreciate that.
The one thing
people realize
everyone should appreciate that.
I don't think people realize how difficult a thing it is to do, and it's like, you know, we're easily dismissive. I'm like, okay, you know, you don't like what he does, then feel free to go and put up your own capital, get sponsors, get producers, get craftsmen, find venues, you know, find sponsors, do all that stuff, and put on your own Game Award.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, everyone always sits there and goes, Jeff Keighley's really unprofessional and everything else. You gotta realize, this dude is literally just a massive fan of video games that is living his best life. That's how
That's not a bad thing.
I've always viewed Jeff Keighley like that because, like, you know what? Everyone's like, oh, the whole Kojima thing's weird, but, like, he acts like that with all developers. He just genuinely enjoys and loves all the developers. Though I am going to be looking for the screen cap if Death Stranding does win Game of the Year. When he opens that envelope, I am waiting for the screenshot facial expression.
We'll know whether Death Stranding won or not based off of his face. We'll know.
Absolutely. So... this has been a long one. We're going to wrap this up, but we've got a little bit of an announcement instead of doing our traditional outros. So, for people that have followed me for the past few years, I used to do something. I haven't really done it since about 2018 due to financial instability. I used to do a fair amount of charity, gamer score runs, and everything else. So what I would do is I would grind achievements and use the Xbox leaderboard and donate in the amount of gamer score I earned through that run. I did one for the Las Vegas shootings. I did one for Ronald McDonald House. Collectively, I've raised about $1,600 between 2 or 3 events. Not really that much in the grand scheme of things, but it really felt like I was making a difference while doing something that I always did. And I really liked that format. So we're going to do one. We're going to do one for the month of December. I'm going to get Eric to talk about the cause, and then I'm going to go over how it's going to work. So, Eric, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you. And first I want to say thank you guys for allowing me to express this and talk about it and actually be a part of what you want to do, Nick. Some people know, not everybody knows, but my little girl, she has sickle cell. She's 5 now. She's had about, since she's been born, 8 hospital stays. The last one being like the longest, where she has to get blood transfusions every now and again when her blood cell count drops low. And not a lot of people are aware what sickle cell anemia is, but it's essentially where, most people, like normal people, we have like regular oval-shaped blood cells that just flow through our system normally on a daily basis. Sickle cell patients, they will have the oval cells, but when they go into a crisis, their cells they look like little sickles, and they begin to stick, and they don't flow through as well, and they can cause a host of different problems. So it can be tough, and it's not a disease where there's a lot of awareness. It doesn't strike a lot of people. It's a very rare disease. It's about 200,000 people in the U.S. that actually have it. Predominantly minority, Black. I think a few Hispanics actually do get it as well. So I was talking to the guys and saying I've been trying to figure out ways to bring more awareness to it through something that I love, like gaming, and trying to figure out different ways. And Nick you reminded me that he does the Gamerscore run, and I think that's brilliant. So yeah, so we're going to do the Gamerscore run for the Foundation for Sickle Cell Disease and Research. It's a local group here in Hollywood, Florida, and they do a lot of outreach, not through just research, but through actually helping patients who need procedures, who need transfusions, who need different care, because there's different levels of sickle cell. My daughter has the worst case of it, which is called sickle cell SS. So she gets a lot more, crisis and things like that. Some people have SE where they kind of get some of the effects of it, but it doesn't hit them as hard. They don't have hospital stays in particular. So this group is doing a lot in the research area, trying to find that cure, trying to aid that cure. There is a clinical trial out there right now where they think they may actually be onto a cure, and there's a lot more help and research that needs to be done in that area. So this is greatly appreciated, because it can be tough. I've shared with the guys plenty of times when we're in the hospital, or when she might be going through something because she can't do normal things like normal kids. You have to make sure climate control is a big deal for her. So luckily we live in Florida, where we don't have to deal with too many cold climates, because cold climates can wreak havoc on them. We have to be careful, like if she can go swimming and do things like that, but we have to be extremely careful with those kinds of things. Sports, in most cases, are out of the picture, depending. So it can be tough. It can be tough and scary, because if she's saying something hurts on her, it's not like when a kid falls and hurts their knee. If she's saying her leg hurts, it could be the beginnings of something.
Yeah.
So looking forward to doing this run.
I know I don't know the exact struggle that Eric and his family go through. My daughter had very strong asthma, and which isn't even comparable in the long-term run of things. But I know what it's like to spend a week going back and forth to the hospital. Like, my daughter was in the hospital for a week and a half, so my wife had to basically live there with her while I was working. And my wife was also pregnant at the time and having complications. And it's hard when you have prolonged hospital, because the thing is you still have to go about your everyday life. You still have to go to work. You still have to pay for your house. You still have to pay for your car. You still got to make everything work while still also being there for your kid. And it's an incredibly harrowing feeling. And anyone who's a parent has been through this at least once, whether in a small scale or a larger scale. And it just really hits home. So how this is going to work is traditionally how I've done these Gamerscore runs. So for every 1,000 Gamerscore you earn, that's $10. So if you get 1,000 Gamerscore in the month of December, you donate $10. If you get 10,000, $100. If you do wacky, woolly amounts of numbers, it's 30,000 Gamerscore in a month. That's $300. So what my idea was is when I did the Las Vegas shootings one, I opened it up to people. I said, hey, if you want to do this, you can do this with me. And of course, if there's no incentive, people are like, oh, that's cool that you're doing that, but I'm not personally invested in this. So out of my own pocket, for those that are participating in this, whoever wins, and I'm excluding myself out of this because I'm going to win, because I'm overly competitive. Whoever wins or takes the highest spot gets a $60 full price game on the platform of their choice. Now, if I get enough interest from PlayStation guys, if you want to get involved in this, DM me. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out a way to use a different metric of measurement. If the interest is there, I will figure it out. So all you need to do in order to enter is you just need to DM me on Twitter or at me and be like, hey, this is my gamer tag. Add me so I can track your leaderboard score. And then at the end of December, so when the leaderboard resets on December 1st, that's when we'll start. And then when the board ends on New Year's Eve, we will look at who's got the most. Whoever's got the most wins the game. I will PayPal them the money for the game. All you need to do, and this is the most important factor, is I need a screenshot proof of your donation that matches your gamer score that you contributed. This isn't me trying to be petty or anything else. It's just I don't want there's shitty people out there, and I don't want someone to run off with a game when they didn't donate to the actual cause. So all you have to do is when you go donate, just show me this is the amount donated, blah 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 by so and so, and I will PayPal you your AAA or $60 game purchase. And I really want as many people involved in this as I can. It's a really great cause, and every little bit counts. And I would love to, even if we somehow between us and say 10 other people get involved, if we can get $1,000 between everybody, that's amazing to me.
Absolutely.
And to me, everyone always sits there and on social media and says, "Oh, I wish we could stop fighting and just get along." Well, how about you put your money where your mouth is and get along for a month and help some kids and play games, help kids, help adults. It's really hard down there. And I give Eric full credit. I do not know how him and his wife deal with this while also dealing with the American healthcare system. I have no idea, and I wish you guys the best, honestly.
It could be interesting, man. That's kind of why I say, we joke and we goof. We see people, what goes on and how people get irate and upset and angry, and I'm just like, I can't find a way to get triggered over Game Awards, other things like that. And guys, behave. That's what you want to do. I get more triggered when the bill comes in and I have to fight with the insurance company. They don't want to pay this portion of it, and they're supposed to, and this and that. That's where my energy goes.
I agree, and I think this is
actual problems.
Yeah. Actual problems. Thing is if you have kids, and Alden will co-sign this as well. When you have kids and there's something wrong with your kids, you sit in bed at night staring at the ceiling with just this knot in your gut. And for a lot of us, we get lucky and our kids will get better and it goes away after, say, a week or 2 weeks. But this is an uphill battle for Eric and his wife, and hopefully financial contributions will help push Akira through. So, like I said, if you guys want to reach out, you can DM me on my personal Twitter account. You can DM me on Gaming Perspectives Twitter account. I'll be clipping this part of the video for Twitter, so that's more consumable. In case you didn't stick around to the end of the recording, there'll be a Twitter announcement tomorrow afternoon. And like I said, just if you have any inquiries, DM me, or if you don't like DMing me, or you think I'm an asshole, DM Sam, DM Jared, DM Eric, anything like that. Any one of these guys. With any info you need. Any closing thoughts, guys?
Just that really puts the whole game of the year argument in perspective. It's really good to see you guys doing this. If we could bring people together with these games instead of argue about things, that's just wonderful. I mean, that's what the community should be there for, and I applaud you guys, and I can't wait to try to get other people involved with you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Alden.
Yeah, this may amaze some people if this is your first time listening to us, but for those of our handful of fans that know us, the Game of the Year stuff and even the ethics stuff, talk and all that, that's us having fun. That's us palling around. That's us discussing things and having fun. This matters. This seriously matters. Absolutely. Take this 100%. Very, very, very seriously. Okay?
Yeah,
as Eric has to every single day of his life.
Yep. And for those, if you don't feel like you want to participate in the score, or in the actual run or anything like that, you just want to donate, in the description of this video, and Sam plugged in the chat as well, the donation link is there. If you do make a donation and you don't want to participate in the Gamer Score run, do tag us on Twitter with screenshot your donation, because every bit helps, whether it's $1 or more or wherever you can. Like, don't financially break yourself, but at the same time, if you can give a little, give a little.
Yeah, any bit helps. Any bit is appreciated. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think this is a great cause heading into Christmas, and like, you know, not everyone gets to be at home at Christmas, and sometimes you have to deal with crises during the holidays and everything else. So I think this is really great, and I'm really looking forward to next month and seeing how we can do this. So this is the end of the episode. A big special warm thank you to Alden for giving us his time and his amazing podcasting skills, which we're slowly getting the rest off of.
I appreciate you guys having me, even though I haven't done a podcast in so long. I thought I wouldn't even remember how to do it.
Right, man.
You never forget. And you, just like any of the other guys, always has an open invite. Anytime you feel like hopping on, just shoot me a DM.
Sir.
So, thank you guys for tuning in to the Gaming Perspective podcast. All the links to all these guys is in the description. I want to thank everyone for their time, their effort, their love, and supporting the first live show in a bit. Really appreciate the live chat, and we will see you guys next time on the Gaming Perspective.